how would you kind of like teach a company to operate, or not teach, but like what learnings could you offer a company of how to operate when doing marketing promotions? Like, would you go along the lines of being quite simplified and stripped back, or how would you do that?
Right. So what you're describing is, right, so often imagine you were setting off and you were the person who wanted to design a Porsche 911, right? You've got to have quite a clear vision in your head of what you're about to create. And if you go off into a room and you ask everyone, what would you need in a car? What would you like in a car? What do you like? Someone's going to say, it's got to look cool, right? Because I want it to look great. The other person's going to say, but I need it to be safe because I've got kids. I need it to have lots of fuel economy because I've not got much money. I want it to have big boot space, right? What have you just done? You just created a Volvo, right? And you were setting off to create a Porsche 911. Yeah. So sometimes people have a tendency to try and get everyone involved, and the best creative projects are the ones that have got clear direction, clear objectives, clear brief. You know, I'm setting off to create the world's best sports car, and then a clear vision and someone who can drive it through. Poor and drive it, I don't mean that. But yeah, like once you've got that one person with a clear vision, clear brief, clear objective of what you're actually trying to do, we've tried to codify this, right? Because it's hard. It's like, how do you make a successful idea and a successful campaign? This might not be perfect, but this is what I think are like some of the things you can almost like hunt for. So simplicity is one of the first things I always say. The best ideas do not need to be complex, and sometimes people almost feel like they need to work hard to get to a good idea. But often it's the most simple thing and it's right in front of you, and it should usually be based on an insight, a real human truth that you've spotted or you've paid attention to, right? So you've got simplicity. Second thing is it needs to solve a business problem or business challenge, right? Or a thing that you're trying to do. If it doesn't, and you're just doing it for the sake of it, then it's probably not the right idea. So you can use that as a vetting process as well. Third of all, you need to connect emotionally with human beings, right? So make them laugh, make them cry, make them feel something, right? So if you can do those three things, the last one is how you activate it, how you create it or produce it. Make sure it's irresistibly shareable. So make it super interesting, do something innovative, do something that no one's done before. You know, change the name of a can, change your name to Elvis or whatever. Yeah. Because that's the thing that's like, I can't believe that happened, but they've got an emotional connection. It actually solves this problem of selling cans, and it was a super simple idea. And so I've thought about this so much over the years. That's what we try and do, like at our agency anyway. That's the kind of the lens we look through, and we think if it's doing that, it's doing that, it's doing that. And we can have someone that's got clear direction, you should be on to a winner. Yeah. Doesn't always happen, but that,
it makes sense. And I do think that there's obviously tons of positives to having a team, but sometimes that does happen. It's like, if you do share an idea in its infancy, it becomes such a humongous project that you don't even want to do it anymore. So do you think that people should have the idea, do it themselves, and then hand it for sign off once it's done, so that nobody has that negative impact on their idea?
Yeah, I think you just need to keep it as controlled as possible, because when you get too many people and too many opinions, it just gets out of control. It gets unwieldy. Yeah. So it's like having those control constraints in place. And it's kind of often the same with like when brands or when people grow businesses. Sometimes, like we talked about before, the success sometimes comes from that person's talent that started it. And I suppose it's the same when you're like creating a campaign or creating something successful. The spark usually comes from somewhere or someone or someone's idea, but then you've kind of got to try and build consensus around that. And so, if you're trying to create something that goes viral, you need to start it, but then often it ends up in the minds of other people. So if you can build something that people are going to believe in and be part of, again, then you've got this other chance of virality or success.
If you guys enjoyed that clip, please do me a huge favor before you go and head over to our Into the Mind podcast official page, where we have the raw, uncut Into the Mind podcast, and hit that subscribe button. And the more subscribers we get, the more incredible guests we can get on the show. I really appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you so much. And I'll see you all real soon.